Alright, so now we're going to look at the tire detail. And this, once again, depending on how long this goes, it may be broken up into two lessons. But there's going to be the main tire, the wheel well, the rim, I should say. Look at how I'm modeling that. And also there's leaving a little detail in there, how to put in a planar surface like that. And then we'll come in and look at how to do the wheel well that you see there and work with that. So we'll see how long this takes. Okay. All right, so back to our last lesson file, which was video demo version 4. Open that up, say delete all of that. Yes. Okay. So remember we set this up so that our wheels hopefully kind of, at least side to side, center there. So if we draw our cross section in this view, we at least get it pretty close to where it belongs. Now, just for let me get all these windows on display. Windows, there we go. So, just to have something to kind of understand what an axis is, and it'll also give us opportunity to snap and so forth. I'm going to put a line in just kind of horizontally right through there. I'll make sure it kind of starts at that end and runs over to there with it. Okay. Just as, once again, a visual reference that is kind of like an axis, although in Alias, unlike SolidWorks, we use the pivot point to axis about, or one of the main axis there. The pivot point is a local revolve. The main axis are a global. Okay. Now to do this reference line, I should say, go to curves, and we're going to use this one called the light key point curves. Okay. And we're going to use this one right there, line. Now, the way this works is you're putting in key points. Okay, they're kind of a way to interact with these like CAD. So kind of eyeball where you think the top and the bottom is here, right there. I'm going to click and drag a little bit, and then I'm just going to hold down the middle mouse button. What that does is it constrains it horizontally in this view. Okay, gives me, and I'm clicking and holding, gives me a chance to kind of make sure it's over there. Alright, so once again, that's just kind of a quick reference line to put in. Done with that, so close that. Remember, say pick nothing, pick object. Alright, we're going to draw this cross section in this view. But if I try to draw it right now, I just kind of have to freehand it, and I may end up, not always making it nice and symmetrical. So I would like to add in some more reference lines. There are grid lines, I should say, and actually use grid snapping to do it. I'll leave this open. Let's go down to the construction tab, and right there is where you adjust the grid. So let's double click on this. So currently the grid spacing is set to 100 millimeters. That's what these are. So I'm actually going to divide this by 10, that one there. Okay, so I'll have a lot finer grid to work with. There we go. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and we'll use that. Okay. So back up here. Okay. We're going to do a new curve by edit points. We're also going to grid snap as we do this. Okay. Two different ways. We can come over here and click on this little icon. That'll turn on grid snapping. Let me just demo, see how it snaps to it. If we wanted to do that way. So that's definitely one way to do it. Let's get rid of that. Another way, if you turn this off and you simply hold down the Alt key while you're doing it, you'll grid snap. So let me start like right about there. Oops, got to do a new curve. There we go. Hold down the Alt key to do it this way. Click there, click kind of one in the middle. I'll go out to this edge, click there. And the main important thing is I want to be symmetrical. Okay, so I kind of, what points I clicked here, I want to make sure I do it there. And this one in the middle, I don't think it's quite right in the middle, so let's adjust that real quick. Pick nothing, pick that edit point. I think it would technically be like right there, halfway between that. Okay, but that's pretty good. There's my basic shape. If I want to flatten this out, what I want to do is pick these CVs and use those. Let's do that real quick. So let's say, once again, pick nothing to deselect. Pick CVs, and I'll pick these three by just doing a little bounding box. Okay. Then I'll say move. If I right mouse click in this view, notice how they all move together, but they stay or the same distance away from one another, or relative to another one, I should say. If I hold down the Alt key to grid snap, and let me just do it down here, notice they'll all flatten out like that. Okay, so once again, I'm doing pick CV, I did the move tool, and now I'm holding down the Alt key to grid snap, and I use my right mouse button. Okay, and I can keep playing with this. I can jump up to see, oh, okay, that's what I want. Good. Um, you know, and work with it further if I want to. Now, I would like to actually see about maybe pushing these points out a little bit. I can select one. When I do, I pick up an individual one, and this time to constrain it horizontally, I use the middle mouse button, and I can do something like that to kind of push it out. Okay, and I'll do that one as well that way. All right. And just to kind of tweak it a little bit more, I'll say pick nothing, pick some CVs on this side. Now what I want to do, well, actually, I'll just scale these together. And I'll pick these CVs over here. Now the thing is, if I try to scale it, watch what happens. They go back to the pivot point, which is way over here on the left, not in the middle. So one of the helpful things they added in on this menu here is center pivot. So whatever you have selected, that puts it right in the middle. Now when I do my scaling, once again let's do a non-proportional scaling, and I'll use my middle mouse button to do it horizontally. There we go. We can flatten it out a little bit. And I'll come in and do move, and I'll pull it down to get a little bit tighter corner there to my tires. You know what? I don't like that. Let's undo it. So I'll just do a couple undos. I'll keep it like this. I want a little more, rounded shaped tire. Okay. But once again, just show you some techniques that you can use to do some different, modeling and all, if you need to, sculpting in essence. All right. Now, before we revolve, if I pick this now, there's my pivot in the middle. I actually want it up here. That's where I want it to revolve around. That's a local revolve. So this time, instead of saying center pivot, I'm going to say move. And I'm going to hold down the control key. And what that does is it snaps to the nearest key point, edit point, CV, things like that. Okay? So that's got there, popped up to the right location. All right, good. Let's go look at this in the perspective window. All right, let's shade this. Okay, and remember these green arrow and that little kind of overgrown asterisk there, those are lights. If you come over here, when you shade, you gotta have light set so it drops one in for you. Go over here to the show menu and just go down and deselect light so we get them out of the way. Alright, so underneath surfaces, it's a revolve. Go to the option box. Now, most likely it'll do something strange like that, because what it does is it goes ahead and, if it's got a curve selected, it tries to do the revolve. In this case, we're doing about the x-axis. Okay, not what we want. We do want local. Okay, and we actually want the y-axis. So if you're set up to auto update, you got the right direction there. Cool, that's what we want. And we got a mirror version over there. Alrighty, so that's pretty much it. A lot of other things you can do. You can make partial revolves and so forth with this, but here it's mainly a local, and making sure it's the right axis then, and also having the pivot point. Like I said, a local involves the pivot point. A global, so if I just switch to global, you see it does something strange like that because it's using the global axis there. Okay, I'll switch back to that. Alright, pick nothing and pick object to get out of the revolve tool. Now the front side, I'm going to do another revolve here in a second. I'm going to draw another curve. On the back side, I'm just going to put a flat plate in there. So underneath surfaces, the second tool there called planar, if you click on that, allows you to select that back edge. It'll highlight in green, hit go, and now you got a planar surface in there. Okay, so anytime you pick any curves or surface edges, I could even pick this isoperm right there on that just to show, and hit go, and I can get a flat plane if I wanted to. Okay, alright, so that's taken care of. Now, this next detail of doing revolve here, I just want to introduce, just to kind of keep things moving. Oops, let me do pick nothing, pick object, get out of that tool. This other set called blend curves. Okay, blend curves are really powerful. We're going to just kind of use a basic form here. So let me turn this on. We want to create a new one. We're going to start off by holding down the control key and magnetic snapping at that point and at that point. Okay, looks like a straight line, doesn't look like much. Let's click on this third icon, and that activates the jack. And what we'll do, this allows us to kind of orient it and revolve it and so forth. Click on this little green asterisk line there. What that does now pulls it out to this side. Let's go do kind of similar thing at the top here. We'll go down relative to that. Now it started sculpting our curve. You can see that it's coming perpendicular there and going in perpendicular there. If you want to further edit this, you use this little square here. You click and drag on it. Okay. What that does is it pulls the CVs that are part of this in and out. It's called the magnitude. As you can see right there, it tells you the value. So if you want to set it back, you just type 1 and it goes back to the default value. But if you click on this jack, there's one there too. Okay. All right. Now, once again, I'm just showing you a different way to kind of put a curve in. If we get time, we'll come back and do more blend curves. Real powerful, but right now we'll stick with the basics. All right. So there's my other curve. Let's check the pivot point. I select it. When I first clicked in, okay, it started the pivot point there, so it's actually in the right spot. And hopefully, let's see what happens. If I right mouse click, select revolve, it does the correct orientation again, because it's the same as the tire there. Okay. All right. So there's that detail. Now, a couple housekeeping things real quick before we finish this lesson up. If I come back in and select it, once again I got a revolve and a blend. The blend is the blend curve, and if I want to, I can pick the endpoints and turn the jack back on, do all kinds of things with it. But I'm going to pick it, and I'm coming down here and pick the regular curve, okay? And once again, object lister, and I'll assign these to the curves layers just to get them out of the way. All right. And so we got our tire. So our next lesson, we're going to look at putting in the wheel well and see what we can do there. Okay. So let's stop this right now. Oh, let's do a quick save. File, save as, and this is number 5. All right.